What's going on, everybody? It's the Son of Andrew here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing my first ever Android tutorial. I will not be doing a intro to Android, everything you need to know to develop on Android series. That's just not something that I have the time to do or the experience to do. I'm very new to Android, but I do want to bring you guys multiple tutorials that are going to help lay the foundation for you to build your own apps and kind of build off of what I teach you to do your own thing and explore and everything. So I'm going to be doing very simple tutorials, hopefully making them simple to follow and quick and easy. That's my goal here. And we're going to be starting with a very simple function that's really important to pretty much any app that you're ever going to create or use, and that is launching a new activity by clicking a button. So if you don't know what an activity is, if you don't even know anything about Android, go down below in the description. There will be a link to the documentation and you can start reading that. It is a very good documentation that'll help you get started with Android. But if you do have some experience, you're good to go. So basically what we want to do is, like I said, launch a new activity from a button, from clicking a button. This is used in pretty much any app. Twitter does it, for example. They have the timeline activity, and then if you click the create new tweet button, it is going to open up the create tweet activity, which is a completely different screen. So one activity is the timeline screen, and the other activity is going to be the screen where you actually type your new tweet. So that's a very simple example of what we're trying to do here. So we're starting with a brand new fresh activity here, just like you would with any other project. The only thing that I've done is remove that text field. So what we're going to do is just, you can drop a text field here, but you don't need to. We're just going to throw in first activity, and then right below that we can drag in a button. I'm going to be doing all of the user interface stuff with the design view and not the text view. So here's our button, and we are going to set the ID of this button up here to the right to our button ID, just making it very simple for you guys to follow, and because it will get a little bit confusing later on when we start doing a lot of the code. So now that we have this, we're ready to make our second activity. So this is the activity that you want to be launched when you click this button. So we're going to go over here to where our main activity is. We're going to right click it, go to new, down to activity, and we can just say empty activity because we don't want anything in it, and we'll name this new activity just to keep it simple. Okay, so now we have this new activity. If we go into the text editor, we're going to drag and drop these around. So if we go into the XML for this, we're just going to drop a text view here, new activity, and then if we go to this one, there you have it. Okay, so now we have something that we can refer to make sure that we launched our new activity when we click the button. Obviously, if you're going to be making your own app, this is probably going to be a very in-depth activity as well as your menu, but this is just a super basic bare bones tutorial I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so now if we come into the code, we're going to actually code this stuff that is going to allow us to do what we want to do. So we're going to create a new button, and we can just call it button, and if you get that little pop-up, just hit Alt Enter and you're going to import the widget that you need. So now that we've created that, we're going to make a new function in our activity here called init, and we can make it a void function because it's not going to return anything. So just call it init, and that stands for initialize. And then down in the onCreate, we are eventually going to call our init. So our onCreate, which starts up the activity, is going to call initialize, which is going to initialize our button with everything we need to allow us to click on the button and have it do something. So now that that's all set up, what we need to do is we need to set this button to know that it's representing the button in our design. So we need it to know that it's representing this button here. So to do that, we're just going to simply say button equals, we're going to cast it to a button, find view by ID, and then we're going to say r.id.our button ID, which is the ID we set in our XML earlier. And that's giving me an error because I need a capital D. There we go. Okay, so now that we have that, we have linked this button here in our code to the button that we made in our XML file. Now we need to create an on-click listener for this button, which is going to allow us to tell the button what to do when it is clicked. So to do that, we're just going to do button dot set onClick listener new view dot onClick listener, and now we can make some brackets here and drop that down. This is going to be its own function. So this is going to give you an error, and the reason being is you need to implement the override methods that are associated with this view.onClick listener. So if you right click and say generate, go to override methods, and then down here we're going to need this onClick function, and there you have it. So now you have the onClick function, and you basically have everything you need to do what we need to do. So the next thing to do is create an intent. This is basically saying what the intentions of the button are. In our case, the intention is to launch a new activity from the current activity. So if we say intent open activity, and we gotta alt enter again, equals new intent, and then in the parentheses, here's the parameters that this is going to be taking, because this can get a little bit confusing. So the first parameter is going to be the context in which the intent is beginning. In our case, the context is this activity and this class of this activity. The next parameter is the class that you want to link to. So basically, we're going to be linking to this activities class, this class here, this public class new activity. So basically, what we're telling the button to do, we're saying this button has the intention of launching the new activity class from our main activity. So the first thing we have to do is make the context that we want to launch from. So that is going to be our main activity.this, because this is this class here. So we want to launch from here. Next, we want to say where we want to launch to. So we want to launch from main activity to new activity. So we're just going to simply say new activity dot class. So now that that's linked, what we can say is start activity, and then this is going to take an intent which we made open activity. Finally, all you have to do is call init in your onCreate, save that, and now we're going to switch over to the camera view to check out what actually happens when we hit play. I have my Android device all hooked up, ready to go, to show you guys what this is actually going to look like when you run it. Okay, so it's launched on our phone, and then if we click button, boom, our new activity opens. So there you go, guys. It's a very basic, bare bones approach to this function, but again, it's a very useful thing to learn, and it's made, you know, my app creation leaps and bounds easier because it's really an important function. So hopefully this helped you guys. If it did, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more. I will see you guys in the next video. I'm not sure what it's going to be. It could be another Android tutorial. It could be something completely different. But again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.